Protesters held a candlelight vigil in the nation's capital on Wednesday night. Ben Wickler organized the protest. He's the Washington director for MoveOn.org, and he joins me now. So, Ben, first of all, I'll ask you the question that many people have asked you, I'm sure, which is, what's the point? Donald Trump won the election. You're not happy about it, obviously. What's the point of protesting the Democratic results of the election?
So one of the most important reasons for people to gather across the country, and I should say people gathered in hundreds of cities across the country, overwhelmingly in peaceful, calm vigils, reflections, gatherings, sometimes in protest with chanting. Almost everyone who was out on the streets last night, everyone who's out on the streets today, is there because we're sending a message to the country, but also to ourselves and each other, that we're not alone. This is a very scary moment for a lot of people. They're worried that their families will be ripped apart. They're worried that they might be expelled from the country or rejected with a ban on Muslims. And what we are saying to ourselves through these gatherings is that there are still a majority of people in this country who stand for an America that's for everyone. That's a rejection of what Donald Trump ran on.
Right, but so the results are final. Do you accept, that Donald Trump is going to be your president come January?
I'm not thrilled about it. But look, we have elections, we have an electoral college, we have a constitution. The question is how we respond to the world that we're now in. And I think the clear answer for millions of people is not to stand by while Donald Trump enacts a radical, unconstitutional, extremist agenda that, frankly, most Americans don't support in its particulars. This is a president, this is a president-elect. This is a person who ran on this idea of banning Muslims, of deporting 11 million people, of policing mosques, of doing 1,000 things that are frankly un-American, and we don't want to let those things just happen.
And what his supporters say, many of them have told me, well, he didn't mean all of this literally. Really what it meant was he's going to be tougher on illegal immigration. The Muslim ban, by the way, he softened that position. In fact, some of it really was taken out of a campaign website. And that now he's going to, quote, act presidential. This is what we heard from his surrogate, for instance, Scottie Nell Hughes. Were you reassured at all when you saw that Oval Office news conference with President Obama and Donald Trump today in Washington?
I'm glad to see that so far he hasn't violated any fundamental norms of democracy. That is encouraging. That's a pretty low bar. I'd also like to see him urging his supporters not to spray paint swastikas and write "Make America White Again" in places around the country. We're seeing an uptick in violence and hate crimes. I think if if Donald Trump wants to be a president for all of us, he should urge his supporters to rein it in. He should urge everyone to come together. His first speech where he said we need to heal the wounds, that was a good first step. It's time to dial back the hate and the rage. And that's something that we need to see happening with Trump's supporters right now.
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
I absolutely voted for Hillary Clinton.
Okay, so obviously, can I ask you in what state? Was it in the District of Columbia?
Unfortunately, it was in the District of Columbia. I grew up in Wisconsin, so I went out, after voting early, went out to Wisconsin. And, that was one of many states where this Trump tide carried the day in terms of these votes, and where people are now really scared about what's going to happen next.
So let me ask you one last question about the future. So online, I've read a lot of people lamenting, obviously, the fact that Donald Trump, those who supported Hillary Clinton and certainly are scared of a Donald Trump presidency, saying it's not enough to complain now. We need to organize. There are midterm elections in 2 years that are extremely important. We need to become more active. How will you change your strategy going forward? This is a blow to anyone who supported Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party in this election. What will you do differently?
Well, the first thing is not to take things lying down. I think a lot of people right now want to curl up into a ball on the floor or huddle under their sheets. It's important that people stand up and fight. The second thing is not to just look at the presidency, but to look at state houses across the country. There will be redistricting in 2020. We need to win in state houses in 2018. We need to win back the House and the Senate. And then we need to make sure that Donald Trump is a one-term president if he survives that long in our constitutional system. This is it's an all-hands-on-deck moment for democracy. And I think it's something where if you voted for Hillary Clinton, if you voted against Donald Trump in whatever way, now is the time to step forward.
Quick last one. There are those who voted for Jill Stein, for Gary Johnson, today complaining Donald Trump made it. Do they need to share some of the blame for the Donald Trump victory that they are so unhappy about?
You know, I'd welcome Jill Stein supporters and Gary Johnson supporters. I would welcome recalcitrant Donald Trump voters. Everyone needs to get on board because things are going to get really, really challenging for those of us who believe in the basic ideas of the Constitution and of America. And we're all going to need to stand together to make sure things don't go completely off the rails.
Ben Wickler, thanks very much. MoveOn.org and one of the organizers of those gatherings and demonstrations. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Still to go.